ladies and gentlemen, Eleanor and Brian.
Last night we had a lot of really lovely speeches about Eleanor and Brian, particularly Eleanor and Brian as the adults they are now. So it falls to me, I think, to speak of Eleanor's early years. Those, potentially embarrassing stories from her childhood that only a sister knows, and only a sister would dare to bring up in front of friends and family on an occasion like this. There's so many words that come to mind when I think of little Eleanor. She was wacky, silly, prone to passionate, if hilarious, outbursts, stubborn, precocious, and very, very funny, both intentionally and She was maddening, she was loud, but she was always adorable. So since I left home to go to college, Eleanor, of course, continued to grow up, but I still have the strongest images of her, this little ball of crazy energy and hair. So it took a while for both of us to adjust to a grown-up Eleanor, a sophisticated New Yorker, where once had been a sheltered suburbanite. And then when she met Brian, and so clearly fell in love with him, I started to see her as an adult, at last. One whom I could admire and esteem as a friend. And so little Snooks is now a married lady with Brian, whose maturity, sense of humor, and interests match her so well. And I look forward to getting to know this newest incarnation. And I look forward to having a brother. You would all please raise your glasses to Eleanor and Brian. Support and respect each other. Love and be loved. Teach and learn. And above all, be very, very happy. To Eleanor and Brian.
Here, here.
An obligatory part of any best man speech is to tell some sort of embarrassing story about the groom that the bride can later use as collateral or blackmail. So for this speech, I went through the Pandora's box of memories of Brian that I have. There's certainly a surfeit of stories. When Brian was young, he used to rate public toilets like Yelp. When we went on vacations, we would treasure up all of the free food we can get at restaurants. One year, he filled his pockets with butter because it was free and delicious. And then that butter proceeded to melt on the car ride up to Canada and destroy the car. Well, the problem was there's no problem finding stories about Brian, but most of them are just not appropriate for this wedding. They're appropriate for the after party. I'll see you guys there. But not for now. And Eleanor, you probably know them all anyway by now. There is one you might not. My very first memory of Brian. We were young, and he had this mop of curly hair. And I looked up to Mom, and I said, Mom, when's Brian going to be ready? I said, what do you mean, ready? Brian's ready, what do you mean? I said, well, I want to play with him, you know? When's he going to be a normal person? So, today I have wonderful news. Eleanor, there are now two of us asking that same question. So you'll have to forgive me. I did write something, I do have it, but I wanted to try, if I could, to speak from the heart, because to me, that's what love is, right? It's when you speak to someone from your heart, and their heart answers you back. So, Eleanor, you are the sister that I always wanted, and I think quite possibly the daughter my parents wanted once they experienced having boys. Your positive qualities read like the phone book, kind, thoughtful beyond measure, intelligent, articulate, caring, compassionate, Jewish, huh? And patient. Above everything else, patient. And you'll have to forgive Brian and I when we don't know what to do with all that patience. We have limited experience, and So we'll make you watch bad science fiction, and we'll make you talk about bad science fiction and rewatch the bad science fiction, and then play a video game to reenact the bad science fiction that we just talked about. At the very least, we can say that we are consistent. And Brian, wow. Brian, so many brothers grow apart as they get older, and it is a blessing from God that we have grown closer. You are so much the man that I want to be. You are kind, and you are thoughtful. You are intelligent, you are just. You're so full of energy and alacrity. When there is something that Brian wants, his head bobs down and his hands start gesticulating wildly. He charges a room with energy and electricity, and you would follow him to the end of the earth. He's that kind of guy. I like to think that it is that quality that won Eleanor over. After all, not many people take a date to a film called Taxi to the Dark Side as their first date and get a second. It's pretty rare. So I wanted to give you both some brotherly advice now that you are both my siblings. And I thought about all of the things that I knew. All the books I've read, the notes and the interwebs, and I looked everywhere. And it turns out in my whole life I've only learned one thing. So, worth raising your glasses now, because there's only one. The size of your lives will expand to the amount of love that you fit into it. Love is the only thing that ever mattered. It is the only thing that ever will. Today is a celebration of your love, and may every day for the rest of your lives echo the joy that you have brought to all of us. My brother, my sister, Mazel Tov.
It is, of course, a great treat for a parent to have the opportunity to speak about one's child for a captive audience, has to remain silent. In addition, as the father of the bride, I am permitted to indulge in a certain amount of parental narcissism. But the problem is that there are limits to what I can compel you to endure. So to get around these, I came up with a clever idea of simply repeating something that my mother has often said to me about Eleanor. Whenever anyone is feeling blue, all they need to do is talk to her for 5 minutes, and they will feel better. Well, actually, Al, I think I better apologize to you and to Brian for even bringing this up in front of all these people. When you get back from your honeymoon, you're probably going to be swamped with phone calls from a lot of people here expecting to be cheered up. So I'm sorry about that. But nevertheless, my mother is right about this, as I'm sure my mother is right about all things. Eleanor has a warm and generous heart and a great capacity for empathy and a keen sense of gratitude. Her first words, and I swear to you that this is true, her first words were "thank you." She didn't know what they meant, but she said them. Anyway. But beyond these admirable qualities, she, like her sister Hannah, has inherited her mother's magic wand, the uncanny ability to understand people the way they wish to be understood, and then to reach inside their souls and gently but deftly fiddle with all the knobs and settings in order to readjust how they picture what it is that's the difficulties that they face. And suddenly the clouds lift and sweetness and light prevails. But I don't want to give the impression of some sort of impossibly angelic creature. I well remember the horrifying sight of all those headless Barbies floating in the bathtub, or the shock that I received in opening her bedroom door and seeing all of her stuffed animals hanging by their necks, strung up with yarn all around her room. So Eleanor, as a child, certainly startled us with her passionate sense of injustice, but she also surprised us with her precocious insights. There was one day when she was about 6, and she happened to overhear Barbara and me talking about money issues, as parents often do, and Fortunately, Eleanor thought that she had the perfect solution, so she very cheerfully burst out, "Don't worry, Mommy, you can always become a prostitute." Now, as you can see, Eleanor always had a very high regard for her mother's abilities. I know that the Chigers are beginning to worry about this at this point. So I should point out to you that after we stopped laughing, the first thing she said was, "What's a prostitute?" Anyway.
I'm thinking it's a sign that the freckles in our eyes are mirror images, and when we kiss they're perfectly aligned.
One of my favorite moments actually was when they were to do their first dance. The way that they looked at each other was so beautiful. It was that the other person was so precious, so valued, and that they felt you could see this warmth, this love, but also this gratitude that they found the other person and that they could see love in that person's eyes reflected back on them.
They will see us waving from such great heights. Come down now, they'll say. Everything looks perfect from far away. Come down now, but we'll stay.
They're so clearly going to love each other and be supportive and be there for each other, and they're such a perfect match, and it was just evident through their vows, and it was the most beautiful part of the wedding, I thought.
And that frankly will not fly. You will hear the shrillest highs and lowest lows with the windows down.
You know, Brian is not afraid to love. He's not afraid to be himself. He's not afraid to really show you the depth of how much he feels towards you, whether it be as a friend or a partner or what have you. And I think that that is incredibly appealing, certainly as a friend, and I can only imagine it would be even more appealing to someone who is going to be their life partner.
What makes this wedding special is that it's my brother getting married. I've smiled so hard that my face is in pain. It hurts. It's hard to smile so much, but that's the amount of joy that I really feel. So seeing the two of them get married is probably the best thing I could imagine happening.
But we'll stay. We love you, Eleanor and Brian.
So I'll see you at the end of the aisle. I hope you smile and maybe cry. We'll take our time and that will be forevermore.
Brian, I love you. I respect and admire you. I'm in awe of you. You're full of strength. You have a heart so large it encompasses the whole world and everyone in it. Your curiosity is limitless. Your joy in the universe infectious. And whenever I get too stuck inside my own head, you always help me laugh away the worries and fears, reminding me how wonderful it can be to stop and simply be. I promise to try to be worthy of you. I promise to be your partner and your biggest fan. I promise to love you, to support you, and to always hold your hand through whatever life has in store. And no matter what those adventures may be, I promise that life will always be more fun together than it could ever be apart.
We'll take our time and then we'll be forevermore.
I am not known for my sense of direction. My ability to become lost, even in my own backyard, probably explains my overdependence on Google Maps, clutching my smartphone like a life preserver, bobbing in a vast ocean of street signs and transit options. And yet, at the end of the day, it's not home I search for, or the letters and numbers of our apartment, but your name. Find me Eleanor, I say, and a bright blue path snakes through the city, the fastest way from me to you. Because the truth is, wherever you are is where my home is. Eleanor, you are the most intelligent, dedicated, and capable human being I have ever met. Every day I've known you, you've amazed me with your curiosity, talent, and passion in music, in school, in sports, and in life. But more than your many talents, you possess a gift of rare compassion. You are always first to put others' interests before your own, always the quickest with a warm greeting or kind remark. When you speak with people, your patience makes them feel as though they are the most important person in the world. You have the rare ability to make people feel comfortable in their own skin. You always strive to mend every hurt, to right every wrong, dry every tear, and soothe every anxiety-ruffled feather. You leave everything better than you found it. When I am with you, I am at peace. With you, I am never lost. You are the love of my life. And that is why I vow to support you, to adore you, to encourage you, to laugh with you and to cry with you, to grow with you and to love you for the rest of our lives.
Brian, Eleanor, to complete this ceremony, we break a glass. I think all of us know what to say when you step on that.
Take a breath, take it deep, and exhale. I am yours to keep.
She appreciates
What's up?
You guys are great for my ego. Can you just follow me around and keep telling me about it? It's fabulous.
You sung a star. Do the three of you have a routine? Do you have a song that you sing together in harmony?
Yeah, we harmonize. We do the. We're gonna be the. Yeah.
Don't jump! It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
Oh gosh, I've never had so many people watch me put on earrings in my life.
Until now.
Until now. No pressure. I can't mess it up. Should I walk on the grass now? We good?
Sure.
Oh, careful, watch yourself.
I needed it. What can I say?
Yes, it took all of 2 seconds of seeing him before I burst into tears. And then we hear the ice cream truck in the background.
That's true.
I almost choked that
I just think we should all go get ice cream.
This is really quite a hollow. This is a very small knife to use on such a hollow. I think I need a saw, but anyway,